When we teach to all of our students at the same time, it's easy for kids to get left out. And so if we want our class to be more inclusive of kids who have special needs when they learn, that need just a little bit more help, if we want to make our class more accessible to those students, how do we do that? And how do we do it without feeling like we're spending tons and tons and tons of our time doing just that? Well, there are a handful of tools out there that can really help with this. And they're things that you don't even have to use like all the time right in the moment as a teacher. There are things you can put in the hands of their students and the students can use them too. And so that is going to be the focus of this video. That's what we're talking about, tools to make your class more inclusive and accessible. And we are super pumped to see you in this video. If you're joining us live, thanks so much for joining us. Please do check in and let us know that you're here, name, location, and what you do in education, and we'll shout a bunch of you out. My name is Matt Miller. I am the author of Ditch That Textbook, and to my right, I got it. Holly, say hi.
Hi, everyone, and I'm so excited. This is my favorite part, is seeing where everyone is coming from and seeing some people who come every time.
Yes, exactly. So I got to shout out Isabel, because she was here 45 or 15 minutes before we started. She's like, hey, I've got the front row seat. So good to see you. Thanks so much for joining. There's Les from California, very familiar face, as is Dalton from North Carolina. Good to see him. Oh. Anthony's here from Israel. Nice. That's very cool. Rosalina's here from Clovis, another familiar face.
Sorry.
You had to do it, right? I don't blame you. All right. So who else have we got here? We've got Tanya. I'm so glad she does that every time. One time, a couple of videos ago, I said, how do you pronounce that? And she just does it for me now. So from Minnesota, good to see her. Connie is here from Southern California. Good to see her. Heidi is here. She's from California. Wow, we got lots of California people and lots of Minnesota people. There's Glorianne from Minnesota. Good to see her. She was just tweeting about my new book recently. So thank you for doing that. Mary's here from Southern California. And oh, that book right there. Look at that. Yeah, that is the new book.
So cool. If you guys have not seen this, I was so impressed with the layout. And I love the chapter dividers the way that you did too. And I love this name. Video killed the chalkboard star. Hello.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Little 80s shout out for us there. So yeah.
I know.
All right. Yeah, exactly. So hi to Justine and Jamie. I just put them up on the screen too. So Holly, we're talking about inclusive, accessible tools, and these are so important, and you don't have to have like advanced education to be able to put these into your classroom, right?
You certainly don't. But when you say inclusive and accessible, I want to talk a little bit about that, because what I hear is infused. Right?
Yeah.
A classroom that is infused is also inclusive. So these two go together. And I think it's why I was able to do this in my classroom in the way that I did. So today I'm going to talk about some apps that we need to think about going forward, some apps we need to think about as we are finishing up this remote environment. And then I'm going to ask for audience participation a couple times, because you guys teach us so much that I want to hear about things that you're doing. And I'm going to focus in today a little bit around some of the like immersive reader kind of tools, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But oh, Matt, you don't have to do that. But
okay, I'll come back.
No, I don't like seeing myself like that. But anyway, because Immersive Reader has put itself inside of tools, and the word on the street is that it's soon going to be in things like maybe Padlet. We're trying to push for Seesaw. So if you want to tweet out to Seesaw to get Immersive Reader in there, it would be great. So all you have to do is @Seesaw. We want Immersive Reader. Please help. Because it would be just really helpful for parents who are getting information from Seesaw to be able to see it and have it be translated. So we're going to talk about this in a second. So let me head over to this slide deck, and I'm going to just go through a couple little stories too. But I want to get some audience participation right now. I want the truth. When you are given a little 504 or IEP, how many of you feel super confident, like, oh, I can help that kid. This is the place to be. So let me know with a yes, maybe, and no over in the chat. Like, do you feel like every time you get one of these, and when they tell you the information that they do, and especially for us middle school teachers who have then 70 kids sometimes with some sort of accommodation, how do you feel about being able to help them? And I don't know if we're a little bit behind from the chat, and there's a delay, but hopefully those come through. If not, I just want to say that, oh, I love it. Like, real honesty. Maybe that's how I feel. Maybe. And I used to get these packets, these binders of like, here's what you can do. And all of them were stuff that was not digital. And I was really digitally literate or fluent as a teacher from day one. And I would think to myself, wait a minute, what if we did this in Flipgrid? But then the resource teacher who gave me the information didn't know Flipgrid. So it wasn't like I could do these things and then she could support me. That's changing. And that's changing quick and furious. But as you can see, like, other people feel the same way that I do, that it's a maybe. And I'll bet you, we're all here learning. You guys come every week. You care about this stuff. I want you to think about, in the hall of your school, if you think about the teacher across the way or whatever, what would they answer? Or what might be the truth, actually. So I was always thinking that this is really, and I'm going to go back one, but inclusive classrooms are really infused classrooms. So I kind of put my logo in there. But I want to give a shout out right now to a few people who, some of the things I'm about to say, when I wrote an article, I've written 2 articles last week, one about 4 apps, and that's what this is about, that can help us with inclusive classrooms. And I really went to one of my gurus, which is Karen Philhart, and she teaches in Chino, California, and said, am I right here? Like, am I doing this right? She was like, oh my gosh, I wish every teacher. Oh, I did her, I don't know if I did her thing. I must be right, because I got it from, I cut and pasted. So that must be it. But I said, am I doing this right? And she said, you're 10 steps ahead of where other teachers are, because they're not even thinking in this way. And then I always go to Ken Shelton. And before I even came to this, I asked him, look at this image. What do you think? And I can't wait to tell you what he said to me. So if we look at this next thing, and I don't know why it's not going. Uh-oh. So if we look at this, what we're doing when we're doing UDL, or universal design of learning, is that we want to disrupt the inequality that exists in our classrooms. And we have these great ways to do that. So today we're going to look at how teachers can help students with IEP and 504s, why the digital tools can really help to make it an infused and inclusive classroom, and learn about a few of the best that are out there right now. So when I'm talking about inclusive classrooms, and if I have missed one that you're dealing with, I'm kind of talking about dyslexia, which is the reading, kids who struggle reading because the letters become transposed and they can't see things in the same way, as well as dysgraphia, which is like very similar. I actually sometimes get them confused, and people have to remind me, because probably my own dysgraphia. Distracted learners, which we have in our classrooms, those with cognitive processing issues, which could be verbal processing, inability to write, the people who just need extra time. We have kids with visual processing and visual, can't see the board. We have autism, and I don't know why there's a period there, and also these executive functioning. And to be honest, Matt, I had a couple of them, but no one diagnosed me with them. And so I didn't have any accommodations, and I think I was easily distracted. How about you? Have you had these kids in your class?
Oh, yeah, for me, absolutely. I've seen, I mean, there are the ones that it's just like you said, that have been diagnosed where, you get the IEP, you get the paperwork, and they have, they have those modifications. But then there's the others, and it's like, I'm not going to try to like self-diagnose them, because I am not, I'm not qualified to do that, but I also know that they could probably use some extra help. And so, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so that's just it, like, right? It's a universal design for learning, and it's not these kids. Everything, and teachers who apply this always find out that it helps all kids. And so this is a graphic that I used to go to as a way to think about what the difference is in between equality and then equity. And equality is giving everyone the same thing, which is kind of how the American education system works. But equity is helping kids get to the same place who need that. But this is where Ken and I had a small conversation this morning. I showed him this one that I found. And what do you think Ken said about this particular image, which goes on to say justice is making it so everyone can see, even without some of those.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Do you think he liked this?
Ken drops knowledge bombs on me all the time, and I've learned a lot and have had my views shifted by him a lot. So I don't think I'm probably in a good place to guess what he said.
I know.
So I'm fascinated to hear this too.
So he said, even that one doesn't go far enough. And there are flaws in it. And then he went off to go present for something. And I was like, wait,
yeah, exactly.
So as we look at this, I really like it, the justice part, because we should be able to see through that. We should all be able to see the field, right? And sometimes the kids that we have to help up have been placed in that position because of maybe something that went wrong with poverty, with something that malnutrition when they were born. And if we took that away, then maybe we would have something that looks more like that fence. And so like, I am for social justice, and that's why I am so into the UDL in my classroom. But I can't wait to hear what Ken tells me coming up and why that's still flawed. Because he just goes deeper. So if you haven't checked out Ken on Twitter, he is at K_Shelton on Twitter. Great person to follow. And he has a blog at kennethshelton.net. And this guy gets equity. And he shoots me texts all the time. You have to read this. Like, he's the reason I read White Fragility. And then why I'm not talking to white people about race, or I forget the exact name. And now I'm into how to be an anti-racist. Or how to not, I can't remember the exact, because I listen to the book, so I'm not always looking at the title, but he's really helped me. So great person to follow on Twitter in helping me understand these equity issues. So, or get better at them. So this is basically what it's saying. Fair is not really, I should say there, sorry, I was in a rush this morning. It's not everyone getting the same thing. Fair is everyone getting what they need to be successful. So we're going to look at that. And we saw this we saw this earlier in a live show that we did. And I really, really love this graphic that says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree. And that's what our classrooms look like. And then someone comes with an IEP for, like, the penguin and says, listen, they need some ice, they need whatever, but they sometimes don't give us those tools of technology that can help us do this better. So of course, I can't not say that one of the ways that we can help kids is that if we press record and get at their thinking, and I'm having a graphic made for it now, a professional graphic, so I can have a t-shirt, like I said. But if I don't know where they are, I can't help them. And so even if the person gives me a thing and says they have verbal processing problems or they have a visual impairment, I still need to know how that affects their learning in my classroom. And so if I press record and have them explain to me their thinking behind something, I have a better way of differentiating instruction for them, because that's what this is. It's a differentiation tool. And so it's the press record. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is immersive reader. So let me head back. It's a little, I need to have the double screen. It keeps saying that you can use it. So Immersive Reader. What is Immersive Reader? Immersive Reader is, and most of you probably know about this, but if you're Google fans like Matt and I have been, Immersive Reader is not part of our like vernacular the way it should be. An immersive reader made by Microsoft, but it's built into many of the apps we know and love, like Flipgrid, like Wakelet, like Buncee, about to be Padlet, hopefully Seesaw. Immersive Reader built in to those apps makes it mainstream that way. And so a kid doesn't feel stigmatized, making Immersive Reader non-stigmatizing, and it's always free. Now, as a Google person, sorry about that, as a Google fan, I've always been a fan of text help. Still am. I love text help. And one of the school districts I work with, they have it. But one of the school districts I work with doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And it's not free. So this is your answer to free. Anything to add, Matt? I've been talking way too much.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts about having Immersive Reader available is, you know, the thing on your list up at the top of that slide, the non-stigmatizing part. I heard it described this way, that Immersive Reader is that tool that a student can have access to. And when they have it, if they just have a set of earbuds, and they're able to just plug those earbuds into their computer, they can get that support. They can get that help to enable them to read, to translate it into their native language or whatever. And people don't even have to know that they're doing it, because, you know, there's a stigma that comes with getting helped sometimes. And, you know, it makes students feel like they're not able to do it, or they're less of a person, and they feel like other people are watching them, or maybe other people are watching them and are sort of silently judging them. We can take all of that away by putting in something like this, where you just plug in your earbuds while everybody's working, and you can hit play, and you can have it read to you. You can have it translate, and it's non-stigmatizing. It doesn't mean that someone has it next to you. You know, it's that old, the old thing that we've had in classrooms for so long, where someone sits next to you and they help you read, and they point to the word and they say, now, what's that word? Now, how do you say that word? I'll go back and reread that word, and it just humiliates the kid. And this eliminates a lot of that. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of it.
So Matt, while you were speaking, my internet went out for a second. And,
oh, wow. I'm glad I was talking when that happened then.
Yeah, I know. I could still hear you, which is interesting. So I don't know if it totally went out, but it closed a bunch of my my tabs, which I had open to demonstrate Immersive Reader. So I quickly typed to see if I could get it back up. I don't know if it's back up, but I wanted to go to an example, but it looks like what I brought back up is not the right thing. So let me just come back over to StreamYard. And what I can do is we're going to go to another tool, which is called Wakelet. And we're going to see in there what you can do with kids. And then we will see if we can get Immersive Reader to open. And this hasn't happened before. So it's pretty good. We've done a bunch of different lives, and nothing like technology has gone wrong. Can we talk to the people in our chat for a second, though, and see, are they using, or are they aware of Immersive Reader, and which apps that Immersive Reader is in? Have they noticed it? I'd like to get kind of a feel for what's happening there. And if you can read it to me while I open this tab, that would be great. And I know it'll take a second, but and do you want to explain for a second Immersive Reader, even if we can't show it, which is very inaccessible information?
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. Yeah, actually, I have an Immersive Reader page up on my screen real quick. So, yeah. So this isn't quite as good as Holly's live demo, but what's cool about Immersive Reader is that it will take this text and it will make it easier for students to read, or it will read it to them, or it will translate it. I mean, that's kind of it in a nutshell. So you can see some of the changes that you can make to the text. For instance, you can make the text size bigger. You can increase the spacing. I'm not sure if that, I can't remember if that's between, I think that's between lines. You can change your font to easier to read fonts, and you can even use these colored themes that make the contrast of the text a little bit easier to read. And then it'll even highlight the parts of speech. And so if you want to see the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs, you can turn all of those on and it'll just highlight all of those words. And then I think one of my favorite parts of it is the line focus, because if you think about text on a screen, like if you look at this text right down here, you have all these 4 lines just right on top of each other. But if you really want to focus in on one line, you use text focus and it does this. And so it blacks out all of the text up above and it blacks out all of the text down below, and it just focuses on that one line, which is super cool. You can translate into like dozens of different languages. And then they also have a picture dictionary. So if you select one word, it'll show you pictures of it. By the way, real fast, I saw a comment come in from Rosalina that I wanted to touch on real quick. And she said, I've learned about it through other live shows. I'm trying to learn more about Microsoft too, because I'm more of a Google fan. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, first of all. And second of all, if you are in a Google ecosphere, so to speak, and, let's say that Immersive Reader isn't integrated into a lot of the stuff that you do, there is an unofficial Chrome extension. If you just search for Immersive Reader Chrome extension, there's one that someone put together that works. And if you install that or have your students install that, then they'll be able to run it in a Chrome browser with just about anything. So we've got lots of different options when it comes to that.
And we see that from another comment that it's in Nearpod. It's also helping Pear Deck. It is, and so while it's unofficial Chrome extension, in all the other apps that you use, and it's going to soon be in things like Adobe, it'll be there. So it's important to know about it and know about what it does. And what I really like, and for Rosalinda, I think this is important too. So because I'm in California, when you choose Spanish, you can get a very formal Spanish that comes from Spain, and they have a Spanish selection of like a Mexican-based Spanish, doing the dialect so that you could get a cotillion and a whatever. I'm doing my Barcelona thing right now, but you can choose that different dialect even. So I have found that my parents have said that it's a lot more user-friendly for that reason. So even if you are a Google fan like we are, yes, finding out about these Microsoft tools, because we're entering 2020 where I don't think it's an either or thing. And that's what we're trying to get at. Though I am obsessed with text help. It's just that it's free for the teacher and not for the students unless your school district gets that. If you have Chromebooks, I recommend that that's the first app your district purchases personally. But you might not need it if you have the Chrome extension. So we're going to head over to the next one. And thank you for doing that for me, Matt, because I was able to get open the Wakelet. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is Wakelet. Now, Wakelet, you can be a Google user, you can be an Apple user, you can be whatever. What Wakelet is a way of curating resources for kids. Think of it like, I like to say it's like Pinterest on steroids.
Yeah. It's a more flexible Pinterest, I think.
And I keep going to and thankfully, I have to come down here and get another share screen so that I can go over to my Wakelet. But what do you love about Wakelet? And Matt, you are a profound user of it. You have some great Wakelets.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely love it. What do you love about Wakelet? So we're going to be watching, I was typing this into the banner while you were asking me that, but yeah, we're going to be watching the comments to see if you use it. I love Wakelet for a variety of reasons, classroom reasons, and also professional as a teacher reasons. I know for me, a lot of times I use it with Twitter. I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see an idea. And a lot of times with Twitter, you see something, you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then the next thought into my mind always used to be, well, I'll never see that again, because I didn't have a good way to collect them. But if you use the Wakelet Chrome extension, it will gather that tweet. So imagine you're scrolling through and you see a tweet and you go, oh, I really want to use that. you open up the tweet, and then you click the Chrome extension up in the corner of your Google Chrome web browser, and it will save that tweet into a collection. That's really the big thing.
Microsoft Edge web browser. Sorry.
Yes, that too. But that's sort of the heart of Wakelet, is that you've got all of these collections. And so within the collections, imagine a collection is kind of like, it's almost like a document, only it's easier to, it kind of is. Yeah. But what you can do is you add, it's almost like a list, and you can add a link, you can add a text box, you can add an image, you can add a file, you can add a social media post. There's like all these different things that you can add to it. And so whenever you're done with it, you can share it with others, and it looks basically like a simple web page. And so it's a great place for students to do collaborative work together. It's a good place to, collect things together, and then share them out to other people. It's such a flexible tool, and that's what I really like about it.
So I'm going to show it, if you want to put that on the screen. And this is actually, I made a cover, for my Infused Classroom stuff. And this is around sketchnoting, because I was making some resources about sketchnoting for teachers, because we were going to have a day of sketchnoting at a school. So I'm going to just head over here, and you can see that I have put a little description of what's going on in this particular Wakelet. And then I've used what's called the grid view. And for my style of thinking, I can't have things be linear. I will, because I'm a distracted learner, if it goes too far down, I'm done. And this allows me to see it in a visual and a text way. And for someone with ADD or executive functioning problems, this is super important. And what can be curated here are examples for homework. What can be curated are directions to homework. And Matt and I on Thursday are going to talk a lot more about the importance of directions that we're not talking enough about. Like, we have to get better at giving kids directions, and we're going to show you some ways to do that. But I also have in here a video introduction. This is me saying what this particular Wakelet is, or this particular collection is about, because some people are just going to scroll here and go, and they don't do it. So I wanted to put in something that met the learning style of that person. So if I head over here, a video is going to pop up. We're not going to watch it, but I made it in Flipgrid, because that's one of the things that you can do. Oh yes, let's go away from that. And and I made it in Flipgrid because that is embedded inside of Wakelet. Now, when I go to read something, so if I come down here, I have a couple Edutopia ones in here. And if I go to read a particular, let's see, this looks like I'm trying to find one that's an actual, this might be, if I go here, it automatically opens it, or can open it in read mode. Now, right, this one didn't automatically do it, because you see this stuff on the side, that can be a distraction for kids. So I can open it in read mode. Well, and I'm not sure if this one, because of the website being in there, but there is the ability to do that with Wakelet. So it makes kids have a place where that they can get information in a really kind of streamlined place that strips out the distractions. So I want to edit this so I can show you how you add stuff. Okay. I'm having slow internet, but it is fine. So if I want to come here and I want to edit this, which I hope I remember. Oops. So if I want to add something, why am I messing up here, Matt? I think because I usually do it from the internet, but let me just open this. And it's not doing it. So let me head down to add. Sorry, it's a big one. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry. So I can paste in a URL. If I don't do it from my extension, which is where I do most of it, I can just add text. I can bring in a YouTube video. So that takes away all of the other YouTube videos on the side and just puts in that YouTube video and makes it safe. I can bring in tweets, but I might not be doing that as much for kids, but you never know. I can bookmark stuff. I can bring in an image. I can upload a PDF if I want. So I can curate all of these great resources from both Google Drive and OneDrive as well. But here's what I did with that other video. I brought it in, and it allows me just to make a shorts video here inside of Wakelet, which is pretty amazing because now I don't have to go all the way out to Flipgrid. I don't have to make a grid. I don't have to do all this stuff to be able to make a video. So here I am, and I can say, hey, everyone, and I can give, and we're going to talk more about this on Thursday. I can use this to give really, really accessible directions. And I'm not going to go into that more because we have a lot to talk about with this for Thursday, because this, I think, needs to be the game changer of 2020. Anything to add, Matt?
We've had a couple of comments come in about Wakelet, which is really cool. I wanted to put this one up from Jamie again. She says, I do a ton of PD for teachers, and I found that sharing my collection of resources with participants at the beginning of the workshop is a huge time saver, everything in one place. And so that's pretty cool because you create a Wakelet collection, you can put some stuff in it ahead of time. And then if you talk about something during your workshop and the teachers are like, oh, wait, we want to know how to access that later, you just drop it into the Wakelet collection and then they still have access to it. So that's cool.
Look at all these people who use Wakelet.
Right?
Everyone in the chat, basically. Wakelet
feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah. Here's another one. This one's from Gloria Ann. She says, I just set up a shared collection today with other teachers around the U.S. to collect details on how schools are going to reopen in the fall. I can keep it private or public. Now, like, all of us want to see it, I think. Right?
I know.
Yeah. If you decide, Gloria Ann, if you decide to make that public and you want to drop it into the chat, we're not going to be upset about that at all. So I think that's kind of at the top of everyone's mind right here in May 2020. So.
Very. And that was going to lead us to our last one for today, because we're really going to dig into how Flipgrid can be this incredible accessibility tool on Thursday. And so if we go to, and I put it down at the bottom map, if we go to the next thing, we're going to talk about something that most Google users don't know exists, because we've been Googling and having fun Googling and still going to have it. But Office Lens is an app on your mobile device, Android and iOS. And Office Lens gives you Office or Immersive Reader in an app. So like many things, and I know that Google Keep can do this and things, but you can take Office Lens, point it at some information, and then it will read it to you through Immersive Reader. It will translate it for you. And I have to tell you, I travel the world, or I did, and I would use Google Translate on stuff, and it would get it wrong a lot. It's really been bad. So when I learned about Immersive Reader in London, I had to go to another country first before coming home, and I was like, or Office Lens and Immersive Reader at the same time. I downloaded Office Lens. Looks like my internet went out for a second. I downloaded Office Lens, and the translations were so much easier. So Google does this. You have to put it over the thing that you are translating. So let's say you're at a train station, and it has, I don't know why I'm going in and out here, sorry. It has the text. You have to highlight it, and then you wait. And in Office Lens, it does it crystallize right in front of you. So I'm moving over to Office Lens for when I'm traveling. As well as there's something, I don't know if you've ever tried this, Matt. Have you heard of Seeing AI?
Seeing AI? No, I haven't.
So people do it a lot of conferences. It's an app that you download. And when you download it, it sees things for you. Like objects. So for a kid who has autism, sometimes they don't understand the looks on people's faces, or they misinterpret them. And the Seeing AI for a kid with autism can scan you and say that person is happy. That person, and so that can be a problem for that. But what it does, and why they do it at conferences, is you scan a person and they say a 35-year-old female, and you're not 35, and you're like, I like me some seeing AI.
I hope it underestimates.
Yeah, I hope so too. um, and then, so it looks like we have Ugh in my phone. I don't know what happened there. Or she was doing something. I thought maybe she was talking about Office Lens. But here's another thing where I've been so googly for so long that I didn't know about Office Lens, and it's such a better app for that. And it reads it to me, and I can download it and have it like continue to read as I'm like walking in the train station or what have you. So, Josh Harris, the first time I'm learning about this, so that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because
He may have been talking about Wakelet, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that one came in 3 or 4 minutes ago. So
Okay, so if he's talking about Wakelet, I want to apologize now because you're going to freak out and be using it for everything, and you might spend a little time down a rabbit hole.
mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Anything to add, Matt?
No, I think Office Lens is super cool. Especially if you have if you have a situation where you need to be able to translate things on the fly, because so many of the translation services, the automatic ones that are out there, are based on digital text. And so what you can do with Office Lens is take a piece of text. I promise I wasn't planning on doing this with my book, but it just was the text that I had. If you have all this text, you can use the camera on your device and you can use it to translate and have it read to you with Immersive Reader, which is pretty cool. And it'll capture that text, and then there's a lot that you can do with it. So yeah, it's a really useful tool, and it's pretty expensive too, isn't it?
It's so expensive that it's free. Everything exactly. I'm talking about is free. And yes, that's the thing. Right. This is how I came to this Microsoft stuff, to be honest with you. I've been upfront with Microsoft. I used to be like, whatevs with them, like I was so Google all the time. And then I started hearing about why they bought Flipgrid. And I don't know if you know this story, but Microsoft bought Flipgrid because the new CEO has 2 kids at home with special needs. And he wanted every teacher to have access to this tool that could really help those kids. And he wanted it to be free. And when I heard that, it pulled up my heartstrings. And then when Microsoft started saying stuff, I was like, I'm going to listen now. Like, if you love the world's education system that much, I need to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
So that's what we're going to talk. That's today, and Matt and I have something like we feel like it's pretty game changing for Thursday, looking at the accessibility features. One in particular in Flipgrid.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We'll leave that one as a little bit of a teaser, but like what Holly was saying earlier, this is something that can really change the way that we do instructions. And it's so easy for just regular text-based instructions to be misunderstood, or if there are certain words that students don't understand, then they can end up going. It's almost like getting directions from someone. You remember those days when we didn't rely on our phones for directions? We asked people for directions, right?
And you wrote them down?
Yeah, exactly. And if you stopped and asked for directions from someone and they had you make one wrong turn, all of a sudden it didn't matter what you did after that. You were on the wrong path and you were never going to get to the right destination. And I feel like text instructions are so much like that if we get one little part wrong, or if students misread something just a little bit, it can send them in a whole different direction. And this is an easy way that can actually save you time, that can remedy that situation. So that's why I'm excited about this video that's coming up on Thursday.
And thanks, Matt, for getting the note about wearing royal blue today. That was good. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thanks everyone. And we'll see you on Thursday again, what time is our thing on Thursday? Is it again at 10? Or
yes.
1 your time? Okay.
Yes, it is. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, May 21st, 2020. So if you're watching this live, I think so. Yeah, today's the 19th. So So if you're watching this live, we really enjoyed having you. Your comments that you throw into these videos are the best part, we think, of these videos. And we love to share the spotlight with you all, and we feel like we're better together. If you're watching this on the replay, hey, guess what? If it's been more than 2 days, that other video is out there. So go check out the Ditch That Textbook YouTube channel, and you should be able to find a replay of that. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
If you like the, oh, I'm almost done. If you liked it, and then we'll have you blow the kiss again, okay? If you like videos like these, please do subscribe to the Ditch That Textbook YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, just hit that red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell next to it for notifications. And then Holly and I are both on Facebook, and you may be watching this on Facebook. So just search for Ditch That Textbook or the Infused Classroom. The Infused, I'm running out of words here. On Facebook to be able to find more videos like this. So, okay, Holly, do it again.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much again for joining us. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care.